Back for segment 2 of Sun Devil Extra. I'm Braden Bell, and we're now joined by the head coach of the ASU women's soccer team, Graham Winkworth. And first off, Coach, thanks for joining us here today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, very good start to the season for your team. Of course, 3 games already down in Big 12 play, and we'll talk about those in a moment. But 10 games into the season overall, a 6-1-3 record. What are some of the big things you've learned about your team so far through those first 10?
We've got a lot of depth. We've got a lot of quality. It's very difficult. One headache you almost like having as a coach is team selection because of the amount of good players that you have, and we've found ourselves in that position quite a few times this season, and it's a nice way to be. But also very coachable group. We're trying to play a certain way, and you've got to be brave to play that way, and they've been really bought into it, and so it's been exciting.
Oftentimes you hear coaches talk about depth, and it takes a certain level of selflessness from your group. You just mentioned they're coachable, but how much does that mean to you to have a group that will buy into, we have a lot of depth here, not everyone's going to get a ton of minutes. What's that been like for you as a coach?
It's never easy. I mean, you want to play, you've got 29 players, you want to play 29 players every 90 minutes a game, but that's obviously not possible. So it's never easy as a coach to give the playing time out, because you know that you're going to disappoint some people. But we've got some people, we've got a group of girls that put the team before their own. Everybody wants to play, but they put the team first, and we focus on having that team first mentality. And I can really praise the girls in the way that they've handled themselves and maturely handled the adversity of not everybody getting to play.
It's a new era for Sun Devil Athletics, and talk about a welcome into the Big 12, a 3-game road trip for you guys in 3 different time zones, ending in Orlando, Florida over the weekend. It was overall a successful trip for you guys, a win, a draw, and then a loss to BYU, but you made it through with a couple of positive results, like we said. What kind of toughness and focus did that require to really get through that gauntlet of a schedule to start conference play?
Yeah, it was really tough. BYU were the preseason favorites for the league, and so to travel to them away from home opening night was always going to be tough, and I didn't feel like we put a good enough account of ourselves in on that day, not because we lost the game, but because we didn't play ASU soccer that day, and we came away with a 1-0 defeat, but we weren't ourselves that night. And so to go then to come back here and then go to Houston and then on to Orlando, play 2 other good teams, but play in a way that was brave, that was and I say that by mean mentally brave, and to be unafraid to make mistakes was really a joy to watch. And we played some really good football in both games. We really controlled the game against Houston, and UCF are one of the preseason favorites also, and to go there and pick up a point was a great result, and we were literally inches away from nicking it in the last 2 minutes as well.
Battling through adversity is something you can learn from going forward. So how do you take that opening trip, and like you've said, a tough loss to BYU, but then seeing that bounce back right away against Houston and again against UCF, how do you build on that now going forward?
Well, I think it was fun actually watching the girls train today, because I've got a great staff, so sometimes I take more of a back seat to watch the sessions to see which players are trying to play their way in, and so today was one of those days, and I was really watching carefully. But to see some of the camaraderie within the team was so much fun. There's a lot of what's the word I can use on air? But there's a lot of banter being used between players, a lot of talk going on between the teammates, and it was good because it really it emphasized the competition within the practice session, but it also demonstrated the sort of closeness that we have within the group. So hopefully that can continue. There was a lot of laughter, and I think players play better when they're having fun, when they're smiling, and there was a lot of smiles in today's session.
Year 8 at the helm for you here in Tempe, back-to-back NCAA tournament appearances and 3 of the last 4 overall. So you've built a very solid program over the course of those 8 years, especially as of late. What's that next step you're looking for this program to take now that you're in a new conference as well? Yeah,
I mean, obviously we've been to the round of 32, so the next step's the Sweet 16, and we've got to firstly qualify for the tournament again. That's going to be the first goal, but beyond that, we would like to be in the Sweet 16, and then once you're there, we'll aim for one game at a time. I just saw some of the girls. That's why I'm waiting.
He's a celebrity in here. So.
No, not quite.
Let's move on now.
As far as they're not over here booing me behind the camera.
Well, yeah, I was worried about hecklers, but I think we're fine on that account. Moving into the Big 12, in every single sport, every coach I've talked to, style of plays can differ.
Yeah.
How have you noticed the style of play on the pitch from the Pac-12 to the Big 12? I know it's only been 3 matches so far, but even in other ones you've watched, is there a difference stylistically?
Yeah, Pac-12 was very. A lot of teams, not all, but a lot of teams would play a lot of possession style with the ball on the ground, with great athletes but great technical ability as well. Big 12, there's some teams like that as well, but there's a lot more physicality, there's a lot more size, there's a lot of big, tall, athletic players, and so we're not the biggest team, we're not the most athletic team in the Big 12 for sure, but we do try to play a certain style of soccer that is entertaining, that is fun to play in, that is fun to watch. Graham, our athletic director, has spoken on numerous occasions about how he wants to entertain the fans in all sports, and so I'm fortunate that the natural style that I want to coach is an entertaining brand of soccer, and these last couple of games we've really entertained, and so hopefully we can have some fans in our future home matches to really entertain, and then they'll come back.
It's a perfect segue into the next question, because after those 3 on the road, you now have 6 of your final 8 here at home, including 3 in a row and 2 this weekend. You know, how big of an advantage can that be when the Sun Devil Soccer Stadium is packed, filled, there's some student support? How big of a difference does that really make for you guys?
It makes a massive difference. I mean, there were games in the Pac-12, I think about the California game in particular, a year or 2 ago, that we were having to put barricades around the north and south end zones, if that's what you call it, of the stadium, because we filled the stadium, and then we had an overflow, and I'd love to get back to that and having that type of support again, because you know, as motivating as I like to think I am as a coach, when you know half a football team show up, and you know, and there's a group of wrestlers over here, and there's a fraternity over there, I could be the most motivating guy alive. But when 2,000 other guys show up, they run around a little faster than me.
You're like, what do I need to say?
Well, I don't need to say anything. They run for me.
That's hilarious. Moving on now, and in this day and age in college athletics, it's really become more and more rare to see someone like Lucy Johnson, who's been in your program for 5 years now. She's stayed in Tempe throughout. What's it been like coaching her and seeing her growth over the course of her career?
Oh, it's been awesome. Jono's an absolute sweetheart. She's like 2 different personalities. I don't know if she's got some sort of thing that she can just flick a switch, because off the field she's an absolute great leader, an absolute sweetheart, somebody that's great to talk to, somebody that I mean, when I went through the recruitment process, probably I don't know if I can advertise this or not, but a lot of my English recruiting when I go overseas is done in a pub, and it was no different with Jono. After her game, I met her dad and her little brother sat down with me and my dad and chatted away, and while the 2 dads had a pint, I was chatting with Jono, and she just persuaded her to become a Sun Devil, and just an easygoing sweetheart. When she walks across that white line, she's a nasty little so-and-so. That, you know, she's got a bite about her. One of my favorite people in Arizona is Don Bocky, and he noticed this on her first day of playing away to Grand Canyon, and she's like, "Oh, who's that? She's nasty," and I like that, and she's got that about her. She's got that grit. She's got that annoying English personality. I can say that because I'm English, but she's got that annoying English personality. She's got a bit of feistiness about her, and she's a good footballer. I'm talking about her attitude, but she's a good footballer on top of that as well. And so yeah, no, great dual personality.
You mentioned recruiting her, but in terms of recruiting in general across the pond in your home country, what's that like for you, and how much fun do you have getting the chance to do that?
Yeah, I'm so blessed to be in a profession. Like, I live in another country to my whole family basically, and if it wasn't for the support that this department provides me, you know, I wouldn't get to see my mum but once every other year, and so I'm so fortunate that I get to go home every year. I see my family. And then I obviously go on vacation as well and take my family to see their grandparents and stuff. But I get to see my parents additional times that would not exist if it wasn't for this blessed opportunity that I have. So it's amazing, and it just helps that I'm able to find some really top English girls while I'm there, because otherwise they wouldn't want me to go back. But Jono's a great example of why I'm allowed to go back.
Yeah, that's a great example that allows it to keep going without a doubt. We were just talking off air. You're getting close to 250 wins over the course of
I learned that the other day, yeah.
Collegiate career, right.
I must be getting old.
Well, let's talk about way back when you first started coaching. You were 16 years old. You were still in England with Preston North End Football Club. Yeah. If you could go back now and talk to 16-year-old Coach Winkworth, what would you tell him the journey's going to be like?
Stressful. No, I mean, I would say as a I spent so much time thinking about the X's and O's as a young coach, which was really important. I like to pride myself on tactical knowledge, etc. That's one of the things that I really enjoy. But I spent a lot more time, especially since I've been at Arizona State, focused on the relationships within the players as well. It was easy. It's always easy to build strong bonds with your best players, because they're the ones that are happy. They're the ones that that are playing for you week in, week out. And you can, Jono, for example, it's easy to build a bond with because she knows that she's going to start on Thursday night. But I've spent a lot more time trying to focus on the whole picture and realised, with my old age, how important every player is on the roster, not just the ones that are starting. And we're very fortunate to have a deep but great group of girls that from 1 to 29. They're all incredible girls, and sometimes I don't tell them enough, but I love them to bits. And we do really care about them as from a relationship standpoint as well.
You're also not old. You have plenty more wins.
Yeah, I hope so. On a double what I've got. I've got time.
You've got plenty of time. And I guess kind of ending on this note, you have been a consistent winner in college. Since you've made 3 stops now, you've been a consistent winner at all 3 stops. What are some of those main foundational pillars that you've tried to build that program on? I know you kind of just alluded to changing your style up a little bit here in Tempe over the last 8 years, but what are some of those main core principles you like to found your program on?
Well, good players make good coaches. You can't win without good players. That's important. So recruitment is a key function. The relationship piece is a key function. One of my favourite memory as a head coach, my best season ever as a head coach, no matter if I was to win a national championship this fall, this 2013 would outdo any of it, because in 2013 I lost my daughter. My team came together for me, and we won. We were ranked 247th in the country before we got to that job. 3 years later, we're number 16. We were supposed to finish 7th in our league that year. We finished 2nd. They'd never won a conference tournament playoff. We won the conference tournament, went to the NCAAs. I had incredible support from an incredible man, Dr. Joel Erdman, my AD at the time, and nothing will surpass that one. But it was all built around my staff and my players coming around me through my moment of adversity, personal adversity, and if it wasn't for those young ladies, we wouldn't have had that sort of success. So relationships do mean the world to me. And I've been really fortunate to work with some wonderful girls over the years, and staff as well, and some of my best friends are former coaches and of mine. And so just relationships, but then and recruiting. Recruiting good players, but recruiting good people.
That's part of the reason why sports can be great. They can unify through difficult times. Falling in love with the game, I'm assuming it was at an early age for you.
Yeah, 1986.
Okay.
Diego Maradona cheated England out of the quarterfinals of the World Cup. I'm not bitter. Right?
It doesn't sound like it.
Yeah. As a 6 or 7 year old boy, that was my first memory. And after we lost in that game to Argentina, Peter Shilton was the goalkeeper for England. He joined Derby County, which is why I'm a Derby County supporter. I needed a team to pick, and I don't tend to pick the glory boys. I tend to pick an underdog, and Shilton joined Derby, so that's why my daughter was named Derby as well. So big. That's my first memory. Peter Shilton nearly saving England.
Yeah, they were cheated, but
we were cheated.
He's not bitter.
No, not
he's
at all.
not bitter. Remember that. I didn't even need to ask you the question. I was going to say your first memory, but he knew it right away, and he ran with it. Coach, we're getting ready to talk to Lucy, and certainly a great season for you guys so far, and we wish you nothing but the best in the future as well. Thanks for joining us.
No, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
We'll be right back on the Sun Devil Radio Network, presented by Mountain America Credit Union.